Hey guys, welcome to another Gauging Gadgets Garmin Instinct Review video. In this video, I'm going to do a full overview of everything that's available in the Garmin Instinct. That includes the widgets, watch faces, different activities, all of the settings and the menus. I'm going to show everything that's on this watch. I'll also show you the size differences between this and the Vivoactive 3 Music Edition and Forerunner 230. Before we get started, I just want to point out a couple things. The Garmin Instinct, at the time of filming this video, is $300, so check the link in the description to find that price. Also, I have several tutorial videos, more than 10 videos showing you how to do all kinds of things on this watch. So if you do end up getting it, don't hesitate to subscribe so you can find more of those videos. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is just show the outside of the watch. As you can see, the band is very long, and it's also a very soft band that's very comfortable as well. It is very strong feeling as well. The length not only makes it compatible with any size wrist or arm, but it also can be worn over your sleeve if that was what you were interested in. The bands are also very easy to remove. All you need to do is get a paper clip and push in that little shiny spot right there. The bands are a standard size that is also on the Fenix 3 and Fenix 5, so there's tons of options online already for it if you wanted to change the color or get a new band if this one breaks. Looking at the face of the watch now, this is all static, so you can't turn it and do anything like that, but you do have 5 buttons, 3 on the left side and 2 on the right side. So far I've really enjoyed the experience with the buttons. You get a lot of tactile feedback when you press it, so it feels good, and they don't stick out too far that they get stuck on anything. They're also configurable for long presses, things like that, and also combinations of buttons, but we'll get into that later. There is a large bezel that protects the display, and it does do a really good job of that. One of the issues I've found with that though is that you get a lot of dirt caught around the bezel. I really do love the look of this watch. It has kind of a G-Shock look to it, but it also looks robust and kind of like a military watch. It's just cool looking. So let's go ahead and compare the size with the Forerunner 230. So this is the Forerunner 230. As you can see, the overall watch face is similar in size, but the thickness is where the big difference is at. So as you can see, while the Garmin Instinct definitely is thicker than the Forerunner 230, it's not really that much thicker where it's going to be a noticeable difference. And a lot of that size difference is just the bezel that protects the display. But as you can see, very similar watches really, in my opinion, because they have the 5 buttons. They have a lot of the same features such as notifications and activity tracking, music control, and also replying to notifications. And then the bands are also similar length as well. So very similar watches. I do like the Instinct more than the Forerunner 230. The 230, while it is a good watch, seems like it's outdated in its software. It's very slow, and this one's very responsive. I like it. Now we'll compare its sizes to the Garmin Vivoactive 3 Music. The watch face is somewhat smaller than the Garmin Instinct, and also the thickness is going to be a big difference there too. So as you can see, the Vivoactive 3 Music is much smaller than the Forerunner 230. So the Garmin Instinct is a lot larger, but it also is going to be more protected. The Vivoactive 3 is a touchscreen watch, so it's going to have less buttons. It only has 1 button. And it's also more of a consumer watch rather than the kind of G-Shock tactical watch right here in the Garmin Instinct. So looking at the back of the Garmin Instinct here, you do have the heart rate sensor, and this sensor does not stick out too far, so you're not going to have a big indentation on your wrist or anything kind of uncomfortable like that. You do have the standard charging plug, which is also the same as the Garmin Vivoactive 3 and the Fenix 5 and all those different watches. So if you already have one, then you'll have 2 charging cables. Alright, so now that we've taken a closer look at the design of the Garmin Instinct and compared it to a couple of different Garmin watches, go ahead and do a deep dive into the Garmin Instinct. First, let's talk about the watch faces. The one downside of the Garmin Instinct is it's not compatible with the Garmin Connect IQ store. And the Garmin Connect IQ store is basically an app store, such as like the Google Play Store, where third-party developers can develop different applications, watch faces, widgets for the Garmin watches. Now you won't have any of that with the Garmin Instinct, so you're stuck with whatever default watch faces, widgets, activities, things like that that are on this watch. But really I haven't seen that as a big downside. They have made it very configurable. And let me show you real quick with all the watch faces that are available. So we'll hold down the menu button to open up the menu, and then we'll select watch faces. And as you can see, we can scroll through and see all the different watch faces. All of these are configurable, by the way. Then once you get to here, it repeats the same watch faces, but it has the white background, so it's a little bit easier to read. So let's go ahead and try to customize this one. All I need to do is select it, Then select Customize, and now as you can see, it's flashing in the data field right there. So if I use the menu button and the ABC button to select up and down, I can choose what data is going to be shown there. So we'll choose this one right here. And then as you can see, I selected it. Now a new data field is flashing and allowing me to change that. And I can put the sunrise, sunset. And then at the bottom, I can also change that. So I can put the battery down there, I can put the date, tons of options of what can be down there. My notifications will do that. So there you go, I've customized this watch face so that it fits my needs. As you can see, all the watch faces, while you are limited to what's available on the watch, you do have a ton of different ways to configure them so that they work for you. And there are the dark and the light watch faces as well. So now that we've taken a closer look at the watch faces and how to customize them, let's go ahead and check out the widgets. So a widget is basically a data screen that sits next to the watch face. And we get to those by just scrolling up or down using the menu button or the ABC button. I'll scroll through them right now. I have all of them activated so we can give you a quick example of what all of them look like. So first we have notifications, and as you can see, I have been receiving a ton of spam calls, but you could click through these and see more information. You can also, if they were a text message, you could select it and then read the text message, the full text message, and then also reply to it if you're on an Android phone. So it's really cool and really useful actually. I've used this many times when I'm in the shower or in a meeting at work where I can't really be on my phone, but I can easily get on my watch and quickly send out a message. Go back. Then we could scroll through. We have My Day, which shows the dates, and it also shows where you're at with all of your activities. Very early in the morning, so I haven't done too much, but this would show you your stairs climbed, different activities you completed, all kinds of that. It's kind of a summary of all of your daily activities. Then we have events. This is anything that's on your calendar. It'll show up here, and you can even select into the calendar items to see more information. We have weather. One thing I want to point out about the weather, they've done a really good job of ensuring that this does not show old data. So once the data is old, when you come here, it'll reload the data from your phone. It doesn't just show the old data, it kind of expires and then is deleted. So you know that whenever you look at this, you're looking at accurate information, which is really cool compared to the older watches. That was always an issue. After weather, we have a step widget, and this shows how many steps I've completed today, along with my goal. The little bar in the middle is the move bar. So as I sit stationary during the day, every hour during the day, it'll remind me to get up and move just for better health. And as you can see, it has this little bar that goes around the entire perimeter of the watch face that shows you your progress towards your goal. And the goal is automated. If you don't meet your goal, then it will go down a little bit. If you meet it, then it goes up. I really like that about Garmin because I can always be striving for a better goal. You can also select into the step widget to see a summary of your week with your steps and also with your miles walked. It's pretty cool. Next widget is going to be heart rate monitor. So as you can see, it shows a 4-hour graph of your heart rate. It also shows the high and the low during that time period and then the current heart rate. You can also select in and see your average resting heart rate over the last week. The next widget is going to be the music widget, and this allows you not only to see what music is being played or what was the last music played on your phone, but you can also select in and then manipulate that music. So we can first change the volume of your phone up or down. You can pause or play, and then we can also change the track. Very easy. I find that I use this a lot when I'm in the shower. The next widget is going to be the sunrise sunset widget. So right here it's going to show you the date, also going to show you the sunrise and sunset for that day, as well as the twilight times. Last sport, this is going to show you what the last sport was through the icon, your distance, ascent, and then the time, the length there. After that we have last run. I've been resetting this watch for tutorials, so there is no run that's currently saved on the watch, but if you did have a run here, it would give you a summary. Last ride, same thing. Last swim. And then we also have the stairs climbed. I have not climbed any stairs today because it's very early. But if you had, it would be very similar to the step widget. You can also select in to see your history here. And as you can see, it shows you not only stairs climbed, but also descended. After that, we have calories burned. And it does break them down by resting calories, just by being alive, and also your active calories. And you can also select into this one and see your history. Next, we have weekly intensity minutes. This would be if you were working out and your heart rate gets past a certain amount or you've been moving for a certain period of time, then you would be able to come in here and see if you've met your weekly goal of 150 minutes. Kind of gives you more information here. And then your history. After that, we have the stress widget, and this tells you your current stress level, and then it will measure it. You also have the ability to select in, and it'll tell you your stress level over the past 2.5 hours. And then you can go down and it will have a relax timer. So if you wanted to meditate for a little bit, this watch would actually assist in that. It's pretty cool. Next, we have the altimeter. And as you can see, I haven't really changed my altitude at all in the last 4 hours. But you can also select into this and calibrate the altimeter and choose the format of the elevation. Next, we have the barometer, and this is kind of cool for weather tracking. This watch also will alert you if it senses a change in the barometer that is fairly quick so that you know that a storm's coming, which is just awesome. So you can select into here and also calibrate that, plot it for the last 6 hours, and this is where you would set up the storm alert. And then we can also have the format for the pressure. After that, we have a compass right here. So as you can see, this works very well, and you can select into this to calibrate it. I have a video on how to do that. It does require some strange motion of your wrist to do it, but it's fairly easy. Next, we have the temperature, and this watch actually does have a temperature gauge on it. So it's not just reading data off the internet. This will tell you the temperature. It is recommended by Garmin to remove the watch for a couple minutes so that it's not being affected by your body temperature. It does seem to be pretty accurate. So it's very cool. If you needed to know the temperature, you just would take the watch off for a little bit. It would register the temperature and then you could put it back on. Dog track, I'm not really sure what this is. I believe this is meant to be used with another product. So you could put it on your dog and then it would tell you where your dog's at, how far away the dog is, things like that. Next widget is a Verb control, and Verb is a camera that is produced by Garmin, so you can control the camera with your watch. A lot of the Garmin watches have this ability. After that, we have InReach. Not really sure what that is. I think that's another device that Garmin sells. Then we have an alternate time zone, so you could program another time zone and then be able to view it very quickly as a widget. And then something for another third-party product, but you can look this up online if you're interested, but it does have this ability. And then we have ABC right here, which is altitude, barometer, and compass, kind of a catch-all for all three of those, which is very cool. So those are all of the widgets available on the Garmin Instinct. So the next item I want to show you is the control menu on the Garmin Instinct. So if we hold down the control button, it'll bring up the control menu. So basically this is a very quick way to get to several different options in the menu. So as you can see, it has the power off and on. We have backlight brightness. I can select this and then lower it on demand. We also have do not disturb, which means no notifications or beeping or anything from the watch. That's perfect for sleeping. You can also lock the keys, so none of the buttons will do anything unless you unlock them. View sunset or sunrise. You can go to your alternative time zone. You also have music controls here. Find my phone. So this is a very cool feature. If your phone is connected via Bluetooth, you just select that. The phone will start vibrating and making a noise. And so going back into the control menu, you also have a flashlight right here, which is pretty cool because it basically just makes the screen white and then as bright as it can get. I have used this at night and it is actually very helpful. I could see this being also helpful if you're camping and trying to look in your backpack or your tent, things like that, because when it's very dark outside, a little bit of light does go a long way. And you also have the ability to add other items to the control menu by holding down the menu button and going to add controls. You can also reorder them. So these are the other items that are available in the control menu. As you can see, save location. So this watch does have navigation as well. Sync with your phone, information about your phone, set time with GPS, stopwatch, timer, altimeter, barometer, compass, alarm clock, InReach, broadcast heart rate, which will broadcast it online to anybody that follows you through the Garmin Connect app. So now let's get into the activities. From the watch face, we simply just hit the GPS button. That brings up the activity menu where we can see all of our favorite activities. And you can also add several activities. So all of these are pretty much the same. Some of them may be pre-configured for like swimming so that the watch is better at detecting that actual activity. But really, you have the ability to customize all of them the same way. So if you just select in and then press the up button for options, you can select settings for that specific activity. And this is what will be displayed on the watch during the activity. You can customize all of these, anything from the amount of available data fields on the screen to what each field displays. It's really cool. I think that this could be highly customizable so you can see exactly what you want to see, which is really cool. You also have the ability to set up alerts for your activity. These can be triggered by anything such as your heart rate, speed, time, distance, cadence, calories, elevation, proximity. You have several different options here. So this is perfect for high intensity interval training or things like that, where you want to have alerts to do different things at a different time or distance that you've been exercising. You can even do custom alerts for drink water, eat, turn around, go home, different things like that, which are pretty cool. After that, we have a metronome, we have auto lap, auto pause, auto climb, 3D speed, 3D distance, which I'm not sure which either of those are, lap key, auto scroll, GPS, power save timeout, background color, then you can name it, and then restore the defaults to just have it go back to the way it was. So as you can see, pretty cool customizable activities there. Now I just want to show you a list of the available activities. And here are the other activities that are available that were not in my favorites list. And then other, which you can customize. They do have tactical, which I'm not really sure what makes this unique. I did some research online and was not able to find anything, and there's also not anything in the owner's manual. So beyond the activities for exercising, you also have navigate, track me, project waypoint, and then area calculation. So these are pretty cool. Navigate, if you set a waypoint, such as your home, where you work, or a hunting spot, things like that, you can have it navigate you there, and it will show somewhat on a map where you need to go. You can have track me so that it's constantly tracking your GPS location and recording it. Project waypoint, I've never actually used. I read online that what it is your watch will record your current GPS location, and then you can give it a waypoint that is maybe 1,000 feet or 1,000 yards in front of you to project that, and then it will navigate you there. Area calculation is where the watch will record you while you walk a certain area. So if you want to, walk around the perimeter of your yard, it'll record that and then give you the square footage of your yard. It's pretty cool. I found that it is somewhat accurate, but it's not 100%, so I didn't think it was that useful. So those were the activities. Let's go into some of the different alarms and alerts that we can set, as well as all their tools. So if I hold down the set button, it brings me into this area where we have the alarms. You can set alarms just like you would any other watch where, it'll wake you up at 6 a.m. or something like that. But they also have the ability to snooze the alarm for 10 minutes, which is pretty cool. Other than that, we have timer where you can set a timer for like a 10-minute timer, 20-minute timer. Stopwatch just records how long it's been since you started it. We have set time with GPS, so if I click this, it'll go ahead and find my GPS location and then set the time on the watch. Other than that, we have alerts, and as you can see, you can set alerts for sunrise and sunset, which I think is awesome. So if you're out hiking and you want to make sure you have time to get back, you can set an alert to tell you when it's an hour until sunset. Or if you want to make sure you get to the beach at sunrise, set an alert for 30 minutes before sunrise. And then you also have storm alerts. Let's go ahead and take a look at those. So I currently have that on. I've actually never received the storm alert, and it definitely has been storming around me. So I'm not sure how well it works. As you can see, you have the option to turn it on and then modify the trigger for it. So the rate of change of pressure over a certain amount of time that will trigger this alert. So maybe I need to make this a little bit more sensitive. And then you also have hourly alerts, which can get pretty annoying if you accidentally put this on, but it'll just alert you every hour. So now we've gone through many of the different features on the watch. Let's go ahead and go in the settings. We'll go through those and see what they look like. So I'm going to hold down the menu button, then I'm going to go to settings. So in here we have the activities and apps, and this kind of goes through all the different activities, the navigation, we've already done that. Then we have widgets, we've already done that. We have the controls, we've already done that. Watch faces, we've seen those. Sensors and accessories, that's going to be where you modify your wrist heart rate, the compass, altimeter, barometer, and then this location sensor. We haven't gone through the heart rate monitor settings, so let's go through there. As you can see, you can turn it on or off. You can have it even alert you for an abnormal heart rate, and you can set a threshold for that. So that's pretty cool. I guess if you're resting and your heart rate goes above 100 per minute, then you can have it alert you. After that, you can broadcast your heart rate, which I guess would go to your friends or to the app. You can have it so it automatically broadcasts your heart rate during activities. After sensors and accessories, we have a setting for map, so you can go through and change different settings within the map, which is pretty cool. So you can customize the map a little bit. Then you have your phone settings, so you can make sure it's connected. Smart notifications, you can turn those on. You can configure if they're going to be seen during activities. And then you can also set the timeout for how long notifications are shown on the watch face. So the alerts under phone, this will alert you when you become disconnected or connect to your phone. So this can be pretty annoying if that happens a lot. I don't like to have this turned on, but it can be useful to some people. And then also you could do phone pairing. which I already have set up. User profile, this is where you set your personal information such as your weight, height, your birth year, and then your gender. Activity tracking, this is where you can turn on different activity tracking things such as your move alerts and goal alerts, and then your move IQ. Navigation, this is where you can set up the different items for navigating on the watch, such as the data screens, the type, so bearing and course, things like that. Also different alerts while you're navigating, which is pretty interesting. So if you get off course, this will even alert you. That's awesome. And then we have system settings, but before we go there, we'll talk about, which just has the version of the software that you're running, and then several different unique identifiers for the watch, such as the unit ID and FCC items, things like that. So let's get into system. We can go through these. First, we have language, which is just changing the language that the watch is displayed in. Time, this is where you can modify the time format. You can set the time and then also set up alerts for different time, which we've already gone into. And then you can sync it with GPS, so then it sets the time. In time, you do have the ability for 3 different formats. You have 24-hour and military. After that, we have the backlight settings, and you can configure these for 2 different situations on the watch, if it's an activity and then not during an activity. And it's really just if the backlight's going to turn on with the keys, if an alert's going to turn on the backlight, if gestures will turn on the backlight, and that's where if you turn your watch towards you, it turns on. And then also the timeout brightness. I have it at 100% for this video, but I keep it at 20%. That saves the battery life. After that, we have sounds, and that'll configure whenever the sounds play. I have those off all the time because I find them to be annoying, and I don't like people to know when I'm using the watch, but you can turn them on for alerts and have the vibration also configured here, and then key vibrations, which will vibrate the watch every time you hit a button. For that, we have do not disturb. It's where you can turn this on manually so that you get no notifications or alerts during that time, and then it also tells you your sleep time, which automatically turns on to do not disturb. This is configured in the Garmin Connect app. Under here we have hotkeys. This is actually really interesting. So it's basically what happens if you hold down any of these buttons. So a lot of them come pre-configured and they're actually extremely useful, but you can also have multi-touch hotkeys. So if I hold down the GPS button and the down button, it turns on the flashlight, as you can see right there. So those are all configurable, and many of them are off, so you have to go in here and configure them so that they can be set up to your liking. But it's very cool to be able to do that kind of stuff. Auto lock, you can have the watch automatically lock, so if any of the buttons are pressed, they will not do anything to the watch, and you have to unlock it to be able to use the watch. This could be useful during an activity, but other than that, I like to keep it off. Units, this is where you can configure the format that everything is displayed in. To that we have format, which is where you can set the different formats for running and cycling and cardio, all these different activities. Start of the week, and then the position format, which is your GPS format. I do have a video on this where I have all of the available formats. They do have just about everything out there, so I would not be worried about that. And then there are other position formats as well. Now here we have data recording, which can either be smart or every second. I think the smart probably saves your battery. USB mode, this is where you can turn it to Garmin or mass storage. Garmin is going to be if you're using the Garmin Connect app on your computer. Mass storage, where you can actually store files on this watch if you plug it into your computer. That's pretty cool. Reset, so if you need to perform a hard reset or put everything back to the default settings, that's where you would do it there. And then software update, where you can have it automatically install any new updates that it finds. So that's basically all the features and settings of the Garmin Instinct. One more thing I do want to get into, the battery life for this watch, the advertised 14 days on smartwatch mode is very accurate. If anything, it's selling the watch battery a little bit short. I found that it lasts a little bit over 2 weeks actually. No issues there, and that's with normal usage, using the backlight, having notifications, things like that. So very happy with the battery on this watch, and that's really the biggest selling point for me, because with these 2 watches, the Forerunner 230 and the Vivoactive 3, you're going to get maybe a week or less, especially the Vivoactive 3, you're talking 5 days of battery life. With the Instinct, you're going to get at least 14 days. If you're doing activities, probably around 12. So that was my in-depth walkthrough and overview of every feature on the Garmin Instinct. If you have any questions about the Garmin Instinct, leave a comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you'd like to see all of the tutorials and videos I've made over the Garmin Instinct, it's over 10 videos. Check the link in the description. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel, Gauging Gadgets, more gadget reviews and tech tutorials. Thank you so much for watching.